Welcome to today's PRINCE2 Coaching Session. We're running this as an open class. Our last session was private, shared only internally. This time, as promised to some of you, we'll discuss real project issues and some classic cases from previous students. For today's session, I didn't send out a survey. Instead, I've gathered questions and selected some key case studies. I've prepared 3 for us to cover today. Let's start with our session outline. We'll keep the classic case studies light, without getting too deep into the details. We'll stick to a simple presentation format. And of course, I'd love to see everyone get involved. This forms the overall framework of our course. This is the key focus of our coaching course. It's about understanding how to apply what we're learning. Many don't really know how to put it into practice. This course is absolutely crucial. For one, it shows you how to apply the concepts from our certification in real life. We're just here to get the ball rolling and to help you think outside the box. Another aspect is learning from others' experiences. We'll examine the obstacles and issues others have encountered. Let's see what valuable lessons we can extract from these situations. If similar situations arise in the future, we'll be prepared to take preventive action. Or better yet, avoid these pitfalls altogether. Because sometimes, despite our best efforts, you'll find yourself in tricky workplace situations. Someone might use underhanded tactics, and you unwittingly become the scapegoat. How do you navigate being stuck with the blame? We'll practice handling these scenarios in our coaching sessions. Naturally, some of you might have learned a ton, while others might feel they didn't get much out of it. Either way, it's totally fine. Since you're all here, I assume you're curious about this specific topic. Okay, let's start by discussing our mission and values. I believe this is pretty crucial. Wow. For one, it helps explain the reasoning behind our course design. Our goal is to transform academic knowledge into practical skills. It's all about applying what you learn. If you can't use it, you're basically wasting your time. Now, about getting that certification. If you really master the skills for that certification, it can be incredibly beneficial. But if you get certified and never apply it, you're wasting money on exam and training fees. It's a complete waste. You've earned this certification, and you could be using it to its near full potential. Instead, you're barely scratching the surface. That's a real shame. You're getting a terrible return on your investment. Our entire program, including our instructors, aims to produce world-class learning coaches. First off, we see ourselves as coaches. Being a coach doesn't mean I'm superior to you, or that I must have more achievements than you to be qualified to teach you. It's not about that at all. Instead, I take an outsider's perspective, viewing things as an impartial observer. My role is to spark your thinking and unlock your potential. That's what coaching is all about. So I may not know your industry well, or the ins and outs of your company. However, it can still offer you valuable insights. This is our approach. The essence of our values coaching course is to help everyone practice perspective taking, particularly viewing issues from a leadership standpoint. This is crucial. The next few points are self-explanatory, but challenging to implement. What's the advantage here? When you're the interviewer, especially for senior positions, like a director level role. For senior level positions, or executive roles like VP, keep in mind that your discussion shouldn't focus on specific examples, or detailed job duties, or your day-to-day responsibilities. Instead, focus on your values. Articulate your values clearly. If they see alignment with the company culture, you're likely to land the job. For low-level positions, however, values may not be as crucial. Keep this in mind and be prepared for it. If you're interviewed by senior leadership, that's when you emphasize company values. It's a surefire way to land the job. Got it? I won't elaborate on this point any further. Naturally, interpretations may vary from person to person. So, use your own judgment. This course aims to convey these ideas. The main goal of our department is to help you progress from project manager to senior project manager, and ultimately to project chair. I hope this can serve such a purpose. In fact, this certification wasn't very popular in China before. Globally, it's the most widely recognized certification. It's even more widespread than the PMP certification. However, it hasn't been promoted as well as PMP in China. But recently, in early December, we had a meeting in Shanghai and signed an agreement with CSTM. a mutual recognition agreement. I believe this will spark its second growth phase. Of course, this will be a win-win situation. We've already covered this chart in detail yesterday. I think those of you here today probably heard about it yesterday too. I'll wrap this up now. No point in saying the same thing over and over. Basically, they serve different purposes. Pick the one that suits you best. Consider which one you need the most right now. Go for that one and take the course. Start applying what you learn. Okay, here's our 7th edition certificate. Honestly, it's not as nice as the CSTM certificate. It's pretty basic, really. The color's okay, I guess. Right, we've just released a new official document. They're highlighting the mutual benefits of CSTM and PRINCE2 certifications. The system to exchange P2 for CSTM certificates is now live. This showcases China's impressive efficiency in implementation. Look, right after the meeting. They had meetings on the 1st and 4th. And by the 4th, the system was up and running. You can now exchange your certificates. Exchange P2 for CSTM2 for 610 yuan. For CSTM3, it's 800 yuan. But for exchanging CSTM certificates for P2, the official P2 PRINCE2 system isn't online yet. They haven't specified the cost for that. They're so slow, it's frustrating. It's painfully slow, to be honest. China handles this much better. You can see it in every little thing. China's really got its act together when it comes to getting things done. Take this for example. Then there's the Shanghai Tesla factory, built in just 10 months. Musk tried to build a similar factory in the UK. It took a whopping 4 years. That's a huge difference, right? Now, here's our CSTM Level 2 certificate. You can exchange a PRINCE2 Foundation certificate for CSTM2. PRINCE2 Professional is equivalent to CSTM3. There are actually higher levels. They just haven't been officially announced yet. The next level is MST. And above that should be MP. It's unclear if MP or MST equates to level 5. The details aren't out yet. These top levels cover project and portfolio management. These advanced certifications will be available in China soon. But P2 isn't quite established yet. That's the general rundown for you. Alright, let's take a look. We'll cover 3 questions. Sound good? Let's start with the last question first. It's related to the previous ones. Now, about this question. This case is incredibly long. It's really extensive. The student's name is Hee-jun. He's currently heading an international project. The project is based in Thailand. I believe it's with MSAR. He's also the head of some system project. He started in March 2022. He was involved until September 2023. Or maybe it was October. He joined our current coaching program. This coaching term is split into 2 sessions. Let's start with his first session. He says, I work for a manufacturing company. I'm in the IT department. My role is network architect. Besides managing the company's IT network, I also spearhead various IT initiatives with our team. Our company is currently in a transformative phase. We're focusing on digitalization, paperless operations, and AI integration. In short, we're undergoing a digital transformation. These sweeping changes are reshaping our direction. My IT department is at the forefront of these initiatives, spearheading the company-wide transformation. Our company has a functional organizational structure, which I'll highlight here. In this setup, functional managers have the final say on all projects. Functional managers make the final calls and report to higher-ups. Running projects in a functional structure can be quite a hassle, to be honest. Okay, so a few months back, our company made a decision. They decided to roll out 2 core IT projects. One is the MES project. I'm not sure if you folks joining today's live session are familiar with MES or not. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure what this system does. I'm not from a tech background, you see. Right, the other one is called Income Pro, which we've nicknamed the ICP project. Upper management has made a decision on these projects. They've put the PE department in charge, with one department leading. Our IT team is relegated to a supporting role. Basically, we're supposed to provide IT equipment to the PE department, which is RD, and offer network support. The project's been running for a few months now. About 6 months actually. I've noticed our IT team is increasingly handling tasks outside our usual responsibilities. Our IT department has now taken the lead. Meanwhile, PE has been relegated to a supporting role. It's a complete role reversal from the original plan. In reality, the former assistants are now calling the shots, while the former leaders are twiddling their thumbs in support roles. He went on to say that PE isn't just playing a supporting role, but they're actually throwing a wrench in the works. It's what we call unhelpful help. More like putting up roadblocks than lending a hand. That's the role they've taken on. Okay, moving on. As the project rolled out, our IT team and the vendor checked if features met expectations. IT reviewed the initial demo with the vendor. IT set up internal meetings. IT gathered internal feature requests. IT and vendor discussed implementation. They urged staff to use the system. Dealt with hardware, networks, America's meetings. Now IT is handling everything. They're even running the weekly meetings. He's just an engineer in IT, nothing more. IT wants to keep their involvement in the project minimal. They call it limited participation in these two projects. He wants to steer clear of it all. The company never gave them the authority to lead anyway. Basically, they just want to stick to their assigned tasks. They don't want to get too involved. But now these two projects are like someone else's chewed up gum, disgusting and sticky. They're stuck with it and can't shake it off. That's exactly what our student said, word for word. I didn't change a single word. You know, the PE manager's acting like a total chicken now. Yeah, he's supposed to be in charge, but he's gone into hiding. And when we try to set up IT meetings, it's like, we're begging royalty to show up. We have to roll out the red carpet just to get him to show. Otherwise, forget about it. He's a know-how. Now, if the bigwigs start asking about how things are going, you know, about the project status and stuff, that's when he pops out of his shell, suddenly appearing out of nowhere, and takes a quick snap at us. Seeing how IT screwed this up, messed that up. How nothing's done right, nothing's finished. Alright, let's dive into this case study. It's a pretty true-to-life scenario. So, here's the deal. How can our IT department protect itself from these kinds of partners? Secondly, how can the IT department avoid getting stuck with these projects in the future? Now, we're already stuck with this project. How do we ditch it and get the PE manager off our backs? It's so relatable, right? You've been there too. I bet you've all faced this. Man, this case is a real textbook example. Alright, let's break this down together, shall we? Let's dive in. Here's our recent case study. I've gone over it again. I've sketched out a diagram. Let's put that diagram in the second section. First, let's outline the basics. Great. So, who are our key players? Our main character, Director He. He's a network architect. Alright, let's condense these sketches I've drawn. We've highlighted all of them. We've color-coded each section. Our boss, Mr. He, is a network architect. In reality, he's just a hands-on developer. As for their department now, it's driving the company's transformation. Basically, all digital initiatives are supported by the IT department. They're the ones pushing everything forward. Right now, they've got 2 projects going on. Since these projects kicked off, the project is led by PE, or RD department. So, basically, the RD manager is in charge. He should be this project's manager, right? Isn't that so? Don't you agree? Yes. Our architect is Mr. He. What should his role be in this project? I mean, what's his actual role? Feel free to share your thoughts. What role did he actually take on? He's part of the IT department. The IT department plays a supporting role. It's a department that provides assistance to others. He'll serve as an IT architect. Has anyone here studied P2 before? In the P2 architecture, within the organizational hierarchy, what role does a network architect play? There can't be no one who studied P2, right? Alright, I'll just go ahead then. He's part of project support. That's the role he plays. He's like a project support guy, or you could call him a team manager. You know, that kind of role. Yeah, you could say that. But why's that? Well, he's actually leading a team himself. He's got the IT department involved in this project. He's working on these two projects, you see. But over time, he started to end up doing everything himself. He's gathering requirements, setting up meetings, all for internal use, you know? Managing hardware and network infrastructure, running team meetings. He's the one leading the meetings now. Everyone's noticed how he's shifted from being a mere project support team manager to who exactly? He's basically a PM now, isn't he? He's doing all the PM stuff, right? Like coordinating and communicating, running meetings. Our GM, he's taken over all of that now. Right. Let me recall who the original project manager was. Oh, right, the original project manager. The original project manager was actually the head honcho of the RD department. Their big boss. Now their big boss isn't pulling his weight. He didn't quit or anything. He's just ducking his responsibilities. He's not lifting a finger. And they're still trying to get him involved. So, anyway, in a situation like this, our boss, IT professional, how's he holding up? He's feeling awful. The word he used shows how sick he feels about it. He just can't get it off his mind. Obviously, something's gone wrong. And it's not just one issue, it's a mess of problems. He's definitely the fall guy. How come? Because he's the one calling all the shots. So, in a situation like this, if you were him, how would you handle this? How does this make you feel? Suddenly, Xiao Tao chimed in. Looking at this project case, my first thought is IT sourced the supplier. Right. P didn't profit from it. So they brought in their own supplier. Personal or departmental interests. Could that be possible? Maybe a bit. But it's not mentioned in the info. It wasn't brought up. The PE manager's personal stake. In simple terms, he's not getting any personal benefit. Is that a fair assessment? Any other thoughts? Anyone see it differently? Someone suggested, I'll report to PE. He must be a decision maker. We gotta rope him in. We need to get him involved. We need to keep him in the loop. That's a great idea. The key is to get him involved in the project. Don't you think? But from what we know about the situation, his current attitude is like, you have to treat him like royalty, begging him to come on board. And even then, he might just up and leave whenever he feels like it. If anything goes wrong, it's always pinned on the IT consultant. As for other issues that come up, he's clueless about those too. Take other aspects, for instance, both the good and the bad. Since he wasn't actually involved at all, he had no real hands-on experience. But when it comes to nitpicking, he's spot on every single time. Now, if you ask him to actually do the project well, he probably wouldn't have a clue. But if you want this project totally right, he'd be your go-to guy. He'd do a stellar job at that. You know what I mean? So this gets reported. It was escalated to the top. Our GM, Mr. He, at the time, he actually went ahead and did it. He went over the project manager's head and reported straight to the exec. Any guesses what happened next? That's exactly what Mr. He did. So, how did that play out? What do you think the higher-ups said? W suggests it should have gone to the IT manager. Don't you think? But that wasn't part of the story. The IT manager wasn't mentioned. It's just Mr. He right now. He's a network engineer, reporting directly to top management. Tough. Shouldn't Mr. He report to the IT manager first? No, that's not it. It wasn't mentioned at all. Typically, he'd report to the IT head first. That's the usual chain of command. Isn't that so? Let's assume there's no IT manager. He didn't bring it up in this context either. He didn't mention it the second time around either. So you can assume that the IT department might lack structure. With no department head, there should be one, in theory. But he didn't bring it up at all. Xiaoxi pointed out that a boss won't admit his own incompetence, or that he micromanages, or lacks expertise, or performs poorly. The IT manager also feels uncomfortable reporting these issues. The higher-ups tend to sweep things under the rug. In reality, even after reporting to upper management, the PE manager still keeps passing the buck in meetings. Any problem is automatically blamed on IT. We're completely left out of the loop now. On the bright side, though, the project turned out pretty well. It was finished on schedule. With only a slight budget overrun. Well within acceptable limits. They successfully delivered the project. The project's coming along nicely. Now, he's got this idea that our PMP course clearly said, as a project manager, right? I should get a project charter before I can take this on. I'm not authorized. But if I don't, who will? The PE manager's ducking out, hiding like a turtle in its shell. It's driving him nuts. So, what's his problem? Okay, so, we're now stuck with this project. How can I ditch it? How do I shake off the PE manager? I'm at my wit's end, honestly. What's the best way out? Quitting, right? A lot of people chimed in with ideas. They said the project wasn't all that bad. The project hadn't gone south yet. If it tanked, he'd be the fall guy for sure. That's what he claimed later. Nobody mentioned it back then. It wasn't brought up this time either. Then, a lot of people started giving him advice. They said, if you're so stressed out, maybe you shouldn't be in charge anymore. Just step back from the whole thing. You know what I mean? Besides, the company didn't even give you the green light. It's not really your place to handle this. And that's the end of it. Alright, so, some others even suggested, why worry when those in charge aren't? What's the rush? Just let it go, it's not worth your time. But what's this guy's deal? He. An STJ. He's the type who plays the expert. As an ISTJ, he's especially fond of nitpicking others. He's always finding fault with others. He's all wishy-washy about it. Never gets down to real work. He's always playing office politics. That's just the kind of guy he is. So it drives him crazy. The moment he sees a project, Still, the project's going well under him. That's the gist of the background, folks. What do you all think? You're right, they agree. If things go south, he'll take the fall. As long as nothing goes wrong, we're golden. Okay. See, no problem at all. So, whose accomplishment is this? Everything went smoothly, yeah. The project turned out pretty good. The higher-ups seemed pretty happy with it. Okay, so who gets the credit for this? The grassroots team said, it belongs to PE. Yet, the PE manager is the company's official project manager. So the credit should go to PE, right? Don't you think? Let's all think about this for a second. Why is the RD project manager in PE hiding in the back? Let's all think about this for a moment. I've noticed some of you mentioning you faced similar situations before. It's about who gets to choose the suppliers. The one who picks the supplier cares the most. But you still need to step up and take responsibility. It's about constantly improving your skills. The instructor shared an interesting quote yesterday. You can't judge an apple's sweetness until it's ripe. This means we need to keep developing ourselves, gaining the necessary background and experience. Have you ever found yourself in this tricky situation? You're working for a client or employer. You've completed the work, but there's no signed contract. Sound familiar? You finished the job. No contract in sight. Ring a bell. It's pretty common, you know. I've been there more times than I can count. Back when I was in construction, working as a subcontractor, it happened all the time. It's an outdated, non-digitalized system. We're talking small scale, not your big general contractors. We're just subcontractors. Let me tell you, it's like this across the board. Every single time, the work's already finished. Only then do they stamp and hand over the contract. And you know what? Why do they pull this stunt? That's how business is done now. The work's already been approved. No contract signed yet. So we can't bill them. We can't issue an invoice. We can't collect payment. That's not really playing fair. The work's done and approved. That contract needs some tweaking. I mean, I get it if the work's not done yet. No contract signed. He's scared of being held responsible. But the job's finished and signed off. I think we should stick to the proper process here. In this case, I think the PE department manager should. It seems to imply something like that, anyway. Isn't that what it suggests? He said it's mentioned later, because it's not mentioned here at all. Like we just said, the IT department found the supplier. It doesn't say who found the supplier either. It's not mentioned, so we have no idea. There's definitely a chance of that. Maybe the IT department did find the supplier. But I doubt that's the case. Because he mentioned earlier that I've noticed the IT department's responsibilities keep growing. The IT department didn't initially seek out a vendor. If this were the case, he would have mentioned it. But nothing was said at the time. Instead, he slowly took on the project over time. What started as merely a support role ended up with him becoming a project manager calling the shots. Now he's in charge of everything. Okay, that's about all we can gather from this information. So, let's get to the heart of the issue. What angles should we approach this from? We've just gone over the background briefly. Alright, Xiao Chao mentioned that. Mister, he should do some self-reflection. Did he rub the PE manager the wrong way? That's a good point, and it was brought up quickly. This point relates to the people aspect of our analysis. We need to consider 3 factors: people, events, and timing. This is what we aim to teach in our coaching sessions. We want everyone to understand this. Basically, we need to develop a structured way of thinking, instead of just blurting out whatever pops into your head, or jumping to the first solution that comes to mind. We're not focusing on personal issues here. What aspect should we tackle first? We need to address this at the organizational level. The job responsibilities are clear, right? Let's say the company has given authority to the PE manager. So, the PE manager and RD department, they should handle the project management. At least, they're the key figures in project management. That's their department. The roles and responsibilities need to be clear. The PE manager should handle all coordination and integration. Our GM, he should just ask, what do you want me to do? I'll do what I'm told, nothing more. Isn't that so? That's how it should work. The companies put it in writing. They've defined our roles. Alright. As for company-wide progress, they said things were moving along fine. there's this policy from our director's office. It's unique and perfectly fits our situation. Basically, management sets a margin for error. They give you some wiggle room. This scope covers everything: progress, budget, you name it. You're given a limit. Anything beyond that requires special attention. Basically, you need to loop me in. If it's within the limit, don't bother me. Just handle it yourself. This is crucial for project momentum. In reality, the project manager takes the lead on this. Authority flows from the company to the director, then to the manager, and finally, to the team manager. So for our GM, Mr. Lee, he still has some autonomy, but it's limited to the individual task level, not at the project management level. Now, let's consider the timing. Since we're dealing with this after the fact, we're already in this situation. So, what's our first step to solve this? Let's hear his take on this. He says, if the project manager assigns various tasks to Mr. P and he refuses, well, it all comes down to clarifying your role. His project support is just for IT and technical aspects, right? That's what project support typically involves. Of course, as you pointed out, he's actually a key player at Purin. His project support role is like a PM's right-hand man. Basically, an executive assistant. So I've been overloading you with work. You've got to do it, no choice. There's definitely hierarchy at play here. But in this case, he wasn't clear about it. About not doing tasks beyond his job description. Well, he's gone and done it anyway. Now he's doing everything outside his role. He's handling all the other tasks. Let's focus on him, not the whole department. That's manager he we're talking about. He might not have done the actual coding, but he handled everything else. Alright. Let's get back to our topic. Just a sec, let me pull up this chart. Here it is. This chart illustrates a crucial concept in P2. It's known as the organizational hierarchy. Our CSBM model actually incorporates this concept. We've adapted this system for our use. It's absolutely crucial to understand this. Plus, it's a perfect fit for the Chinese business landscape. It's especially well suited to Chinese cultural norms. At the top tier, we have the company's project portfolio. We call this the business layer. The gray area below represents our project management team. This team is split into 3 layers. The top layer is the steering committee. In China, we call this the project leadership team. This group consists of people who are, such as the vice president, directors, and so on, or even subcontractor bosses. These individuals are part of the project management committee. The project director heads this committee. Okay. Below that is the middle tier, centered around the project manager. This is the second tier, known as the management layer. The project manager is responsible for day-to-day operations. Just above the project manager, we have the project assurance role. Then there's the change management team. They're about to roll out these changes. So, the project manager is the project's info hub. The project management committee we mentioned, they're the project's decision makers. Next level down, team managers and project support. They're on the third tier, the delivery layer. They do the hands-on work. Team managers oversee their team members. This is key in the Kunlun Su framework. Okay, let's break this down now. What about Mr. P? He used to be in project support. Okay, this particular role can overlap with project and team manager duties, since he's in a support role. For instance, handling documents, sending meeting alerts, coordinating team activities. All these fall under project support. Plus some technical stuff, of course. More specialized tasks, such as IT development skills, providing support for tools and projects. It's clear that Mr. He has a prominent role here. He should be in a project support role. That's where he belongs. However, the current situation is, he's successfully stepped into this position. This was supposed to be the project engineer's job. Sure. With Mr. He in this position, Is the project engineer left with nothing to do? Whether Mr. He took the initiative or not. Or the PE manager feels redundant. Or the project engineer isn't pulling their weight, forcing Mr. He to step in. Let's not get into who did what first. The fact is, Mr. He's now doing the PM's job. So what's left for the original project manager? Whose job does he do now? Is he out of a job? He's left with nothing to do. In this company, his only option is to climb the ladder. Stepping into the project director's shoes. Or dealing with project quality stuff. Quality control is the director's job. It's a management committee thing. He's got nowhere to go but up. So he's forced to play the boss. Their org doesn't have a project director position. It's just execs above. The next step up is executive level. You know, what we call the company. Once he took over as project manager, he went over our heads and reported directly to the company. He completely sidestepped our project director. In other words, he ignored the entire project management committee. So let me ask you this. If you were the project execution manager, how would that sit with you? Would you make his life difficult? Would you try to get rid of him? I bet 80% of people would give this manager a hard time. No doubt about it. Matt, one of our junior colleagues said, I passed the buck on this one. Alright. You're giving up on your performance. If you're the project manager, and the company sees you as responsible for both projects, you can't just pass the buck. You're throwing away your achievements. The company's made its decision. You're the project manager, period. That's the way it goes. This is exactly what you tried in the project. No doubt about it. In this case, I'm taking the PD's perspective. That's on him to handle. From director his view, this PE manager's just slacking off. So I've got to do it all myself. How else is this project gonna progress? That's how we ended up in this mess. According to our organizational structure, project director and project manager are separate roles. They're meant to be distinct positions. This company made a critical error. They combined PM and PD roles into one PE position. And that's what caused this whole problem. On top of that, we're dealing with a traditional hierarchy. A rigid structure. Within this inflexible system, as project engineering managers, they'll prioritize their department's tasks. The project itself, it'll take a back seat. Or maybe they're just swamped. Spread too thin, you know. The spirit's willing, but the flesh is weak. So the department wins out. I mean, this is clearly RD's job. They could just do it themselves, right? Why are we still looking for subcontractors? Doesn't seem necessary, does it? So that's where this organization went wrong. It's because they didn't think it through properly. This organization has a problem. They merged the roles of project director and project manager. This is something we specifically stress in our PE. The director and project manager roles should never be combined. It's like being both the referee and the player at the same time. In this situation, they'll inevitably fail to perform their duties. It's bound to happen. He's absolutely useless in this role. So now the PE manager has stepped up as project director. This leaves the project manager position. Let's say, for argument's sake, he has taken on this new role. So the project manager's spot is empty. Someone's bound to fill in. Then guess who? It's our own manager, he. But he's not officially appointed yet. He's not the actual project manager. He's still just an engineer. Okay, so, how do we get out of this mess? I mean, seriously, how do we solve this? If you were in Mr. His shoes, how would you handle this situation? The project's been a success so far, thanks to Mr. His great leadership. But that doesn't mean if we switch leaders, the project would automatically excel. Mr. He has a specific personality type. He's incredibly responsible. A perfectionist who can't stand even the slightest error. You could say he's a watchdog. He's a natural at inspections and audits. He's all about quality control. He's got that expert mindset. So it's no surprise he's like this. Now, if you were in his shoes, if you were Mr. He, how would you handle this? How's the bug? No way. Our Mr. He feels awful about it. But he keeps on pushing the project ahead anyway. He couldn't just bail on it. Whether he didn't want to or simply couldn't walk away. He was already in too deep. He'd taken on so many responsibilities already. There was no backing out now. He'd briefed the top brass. So everyone knew he was spearheading the project. A small team wouldn't cut it, it lacked clout. They needed to keep the momentum going. First, they had to prove themselves. Maybe he could leverage this for promotion. So, here's the plan they came up with. Manager, his thought process went like this. He said, okay, look, I don't have a project charter right now. The charter should outline my full authority. But the company hasn't officially appointed me. So, shouldn't I ask the higher-ups for some kind of authorization letter? That's the question he posed. Someone said to ask the execs to clarify roles. Well, in theory, yeah, that's what you should do. The thing is, director, he approached the higher-ups, asking if they'd give him the position and the authority that comes with it. You know, the whole package. They've already sent PE a memo defining the project. But here's the thing, no way. Absolutely not. The top brass won't even consider it. It's director his request, not theirs. He's not at the top of the food chain. Whoever ends up running this project, just make sure it gets done right. The higher-ups won't even touch this issue. Matt, there's no need for an official appointment. We just need to keep them updated on the situation. You're kidding, right? Sorry about that. PE. Exactly. I've already sent out the official notice at that level. The project falls under PE's jurisdiction. He's not going to send out another notice. Imagine if he sends out another notice. It'd mean director he's taking over. What's the PE manager getting at? You're not thinking of kicking out the PE, are you? No way. Besides, it'd be a real headache if Mr. He brings it up later. Yeah, for sure. You're definitely cut out for the executive role. Companies are always looking to trim expenses, you know. Matt, what makes you think you deserve to have engineers under you? So you're asking for more authority, huh? I give you the position and the power that comes with it. And now I'm supposed to give you the perks to match? Well, it's certainly not happening right now. Don't you agree? On what grounds should I even consider promoting you? Huh. What have you got to offer? What makes you qualified for a promotion? The project's not even completed yet. Matt, even if you nail this project, I never even asked you to take it on. You just had to go and do it yourself. Didn't you? He said it's absolutely sickening. It's driving me crazy. Now we're in too deep to back out. We just can't shake it off now. It's exactly as he described. It's like having someone wild on your back. It's clinging to you and won't let go. It's repulsive to even touch. And it's stuck with us. Alright. Someone suggested changing the subject. Let's start with the plan. Then back up. Alright. Problems always make someone sweat. Matt, we've already done plenty of analysis. Let me ask you something. I want you to think about potential opportunities here. In this situation, could any opportunities emerge? For whom? For Mr. He. Mr. He has made a serious error. So what was his mistake? Well, he went straight to top management. He assumed he was the project manager. At the time, he didn't realize he hadn't learned about P2 yet. He was unaware that there should be a project director. So he simply assumed the P manager was incompetent. As a result, he bypassed the P manager and reported directly to senior management. This is his critical mistake. The P manager will surely make his life difficult However, by taking this action, is there a possibility of creating an opportunity? This is the crux of the situation. If you can grasp this concept, you've got it. Okay. Show the higher-up he's willing to work tirelessly for less, taking on a ton of responsibilities. Upper management won't give him the time of day. The bigwigs couldn't care less about him. If you were in charge, would you care about some grunt at the bottom? Of course not. You listen to middle management, no doubt. You trust them more, that's for sure. Why? Because they're the ones with official titles. If you ignore them and listen to some underling, take orders from a frontline worker, you're essentially challenging the company's structure. In other words, you're second-guessing your boss's decisions. You're asking why this particular person was promoted to management. So even if the decision was wrong, the company won't back down. They'll never side with a subordinate. Sure, there's a chance, but it's a double-edged sword. You'll likely ruffle some feathers, and you'll be left high and dry afterwards. Well, you made an excellent point. Consider this, the backing he has. He hasn't demonstrated any connections here. It's clear he's got no support. In this situation, he's been flying solo. He's been hustling on pure grit. No connections. No influence. No one to lean on. Plus, this PE manager happens to be his nemesis. The key is to get emotionally invested. You need to align your passion with the project manager's interests. If you can win over the project manager, the problem's solved. He's got it right. Win over the project manager. About that PE manager you mentioned. As a matter of fact, when we ran that course, we suggested this exact strategy. Basically, PRINCE2's organizational structure emphasizes no skipping levels in reporting. Let's say you're in this scenario. There's GM he, the PE manager, and top management. If GM he reports directly to top management, bypassing the PE manager, that's a problem. The PE manager should be his direct supervisor. He should report to the PE manager. Right now, he's already skipping levels in reporting. That's his crucial mistake. The PE manager will surely have him fired. Anyone in his shoes would mess with Mr. He. You'd feel like I'm treating you as less than human. But I'm the real project manager here, after all. You're just a nobody. What are you getting at? Is that what you're planning? Plotting a coup, are you? You do, don't you? You're trying to topple me, aren't you? Isn't that so? What was that you mentioned? His work was essentially equivalent to that of a PE manager. Exactly. That's right. Indeed. What was bothering Mr. He? His issue was, he saw himself as project support, while the PE was the project manager. In his mind, he always saw this distinction between himself and the PE manager. However, I explained to him, your PE manager has been promoted to project director. He's now focused solely on strategic decisions, leaving the day-to-day details to others. You're effectively the project manager now. Even without official company approval, it doesn't matter. You're the one calling the shots now. You're in charge. And why do I say you have this authority? Because you've been driving the project forward successfully. For instance, you managed the suppliers well. He's managed the IT department and all stakeholders quite effectively. The project's moving along nicely, which shows that despite not having official authority, you're the one calling the shots. We could give you the title Deputy Project Manager. As we'd say in China, it's common knowledge that in China, the official title belongs to the big boss. Typically, it's the second in command who handles the nitty-gritty. In other words, the VP does the heavy lifting. The big boss, they usually don't get their hands dirty. It's the VP's job, isn't it? This project works the same way. On paper, their manager is the project executive. Director, he's the deputy project manager. That's the chain of command. Figure out this hierarchy, and you'll crack the code. That's when we pitched this idea. Think this idea will fly. We actually borrowed this framework from the PRINCE2 model. We've laid it out clearly for him. The team manager serves as our internal supplier. How does this idea sound to everyone? First, let's pinpoint Mr. P's issue. We can't just blame the PE manager for this. Or Mr. P, for that matter. We're not sure if the PE manager lacks skills. Or whether they're just not interested in the task. That's the right approach. Just find a way to align yourself closely with the project manager. That's where we need to focus. You need to gauge what kind of person the project engineer is. It's not going to be easy. Skipping the chain of command could cause issues, no matter who the project engineer is. That's true. Frankly, it's about whether to bypass the chain of command. Let's face it, we're all emotional beings. To start with, manager he has already formed a subjective opinion about this project engineer. He thinks the guy's a complete pushover. That's the impression he's got. That's the impression we were left with. It's obvious that director he is emotionally invested in handling this situation. Just listen to how he phrases things. His words give it away. See, he wants to ditch this PE manager. Once we were done talking, I told him, go brief the PE manager. So, moving on. Director he took care of most things after that. He'd then report back to the PE manager. You know what I mean? Yeah, as I was saying earlier. The explanation was tailored to his background. That's exactly how he is. Okay, here's what happened next. The day after our class ended, our esteemed Mr. P summarized the report's contents and discussed it with the PE manager. They had a meeting. It was a brief discussion. Now, let's examine the next case. At this point, these two cases are related. He's asking a question again. Let's look at how he's rehashing his first question. He's covering it all again. Even this diagram is his own work. The left one's his original. After drawing it, he said this. Top management. He called it CMO. Just call it PMO, okay? Okay. It's the company's management office. PMO stands for Project Management Office. It's the company's project management office. They've appointed the PE department as the lead for all two projects. The PE manager oversees the projects and is accountable for their outcomes. This is a key point, actually. You see, at PRINCE2, the project director is accountable for project results, not the project manager. So despite their title of project manager, the PE role should really be that of a project director. The IT department provides technical support and assists the PE department in project completion. For instance, granting certain computer access. IT and PE departments are on equal footing. Neither manages or restricts the other. Now, about these two projects. Both are outsourced to third parties. After successful implementation, PE department directly uses the results. Now, here's a really crucial point. He's mentioned this to me twice now. PE department directly uses the outcomes. Let me redraw this. This point is part of our system. This role is known as the senior user, which is the position we're discussing. It's specifically the PE department. It falls under the senior user category. It's still part of the project management committee, as they're the end users. The senior user advocates for user interests, acting as the user's spokesperson. So, to put it simply, he essentially serves as the senior user, making it a key member of our project management committee. As for our subcontractors management, you can categorize them as a top-tier vendor. They're all part of the executive team. This is the second time he's shared this info. Alright, let's look at the relationship diagram on the right. Management has issued directives for implementation. Next up is the PE department manager. The project manager also serves as the end user. The third-party software company handles implementation. The third-party software company should gather requirements. They'll reach out to the PE department for requirements. But that's how it was originally. The PE department then approves the third party's work. The IT department here plays a supporting role. This was how it was originally designed. However, it eventually turned out differently. Midway through the project, as IT provided more support, third-party software collaboration increased, while the PE manager's involvement decreased. It's clear that the PE manager lacked the capacity to oversee the project. This led to the PE manager's disengagement. The IT department gradually took the lead, while PE shifted to a supporting role. From this second scenario, we can clearly observe that the PE manager lacked capacity to oversee the project. Consequently, our IT department took over, assuming the project management role, resulting in this new organizational structure. In practice, this means the IT department directly reports to upper management, gathers requirements from the PE department, oversees project management with the third-party software vendor. The project acceptance now involves 3 parties, including the PE department, IT department, and third-party software vendor. This marks a significant shift in project dynamics. So, let's talk about the work plan. It covers gathering requirements, coordinating software progress, handling issues, module testing, and all related meetings. The IT department is now coordinating everything. He emphasized, note that I used the word coordinate, not integrate, right? He's become the de facto project manager. He's actually doing integration work now. Integration work, indeed. Now, about the IT and PE department's relationship. It's gone from cooperation to confrontation. Then he opened up about it. This being the second time it happened. I said to him, "You're now a PM with real power. You should be thrilled, right?" He replied, "I'm not sure myself. How did I end up in charge?" He actually used the term seize power. "It just sort of happened," he said. "Somehow, I ended up running the project. But I hadn't been officially authorized yet. No official approval." So, let me circle back to the question I just asked. Was there an opportunity presented in this situation? Who was it that gave Mr. He this opportunity? Who provided this chance to Mr. He? It was our PE manager, wasn't it? Regardless of whether it was deliberate, or a proactive decision, or even unintentional. The fact is, Mr. He got the chance. Now, to be frank, shouldn't Mr. He be grateful for this? After all, he was just a low-level engineer. I gave you the role of project manager. It was a chance for you to grow professionally, to help you build your resume. And you're not even grateful. Now you're going on about reporting over my head. You still see me as something to be tossed aside. Am I wrong? Let's break this down, shall we? Taking a step back to look at this objectively. If we look at this from an outsider's perspective, Mr. He shouldn't be the one feeling upset. He should be the one feeling pleased, right? He should be grateful to this PE manager. Don't you think? But ironically, because he failed to learn the P2 process, he's trapped in a difficult situation. He claims it's all because you're incompetent. He says the bosses are all complete morons. Now I'm stuck dealing with this mess. You're useless, and I'm done with this. It's a classic case of not seeing the forest for the trees. Manager He's in a real pickle now. So, following that initial meeting, we presented him with this particular scenario. As the project moved forward, a situation developed. The project hit a snag. As the project lead, I felt like I was in the dark, with unseen eyes watching my every move. I sensed someone was trying to sabotage me. He suspected it was the PE manager. True or not, that's what he firmly believed. This led to a hostile, emotionally charged relationship with the PE manager. The once promising project began to falter. It was sinking into a quagmire. Let's say the third-party vendor starts falling behind schedule. There's a shortage of staff and issues with software algorithms and logic. And nobody's offering any new solutions. Okay, let me break this down for you. This is the initial conclusion we reached. This is where he gave his feedback. Once we've gone over this conclusion, we'll take a short break. Now, the first time we dealt with this, we treated the situation as a case study. Our suggestion then was to have the PE manager act as the project supervisor and have everyone report directly to them. Don't go over your boss's head. So he went to talk to the PE manager. They had a good talk. By week 2, the project was back on track. Everything was running smoothly again. The result was excellent. It only took a week to turn things around. Now, what mistakes did Mr. D make? And what did he do right? Think about it, okay? Take a moment to consider this. We'll take a break and resume at 8:42. Okay, fine. Let's start by sharing our PQ code. So, and our code phrases. Okay. These coaching classes rock. Alright. Don't forget to add your name, okay? Let's take a break.